You want to invest like the pros? Now, I'm not talking about, the Wall Street titans or the hedge fund billionaires. I'm talking about politicians, the ones that make the laws. You can actually invest like them. Tons of controversy. Let's get into it. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. And try to ignore the heinous poison ivy that I've got on my wrist. I talk with my hands, and that's just awful. And it's a lot worse than it looks even. So, hey, let's get into it. Lots of controversy going on about lawmakers trading individual stocks. Tons of controversy, and it's all sort of woven together. Let's hit the very first example or latest example at the time that I'm recording this, and that is two Fed bank presidents getting in some hot water about the disclosures they made for the stocks they've been trading. And not just the stocks they've been trading, the amount of stocks that they've been trading in the past 18 months since the height of the pandemic. Now, let me take you back, okay? This is just one example, but one of many, okay? So I'm meeting with clients back in February, March of 2020, and the stock market is absolutely just rolling over as the fears of the coronavirus and the spread is hitting Wall Street. And then there's rumor that there's going to be economic shutdown and all this sort of stuff, and the market is just waterfall selling. Well, one particular example, and again, there's got to be thousands of these individuals that I'm working with, has recently was in the process of transitioning to retirement. And so he said, should we be making some changes? And I said, no, we shouldn't. Half your portfolio is in our dynamic strategy that adapts. It's already into cash. The rest of it is diversified, and so it's moving with the market, but we don't have all of it in stocks, and we're managing risk. Yes, that part's going down, but this is, you can't time this thing. And he said, okay. And then 3 days later, he said, I think we need to make some changes. And I said, I really don't think we should. It's impossible time. He said, I've never seen anything like this. They're going to shut the economy down. I've never seen anything like this. And so I said, all right, well, if you want to make some changes, this area that's diversified, just sell a little bit, will reduce risk. He said, okay. A couple days later, he wants to sell more. A couple days later, he wants to sell the rest of it, including his S&P 500 index fund, his small cap index fund, his Apple stock. Guys, I told him, if you do all of this, odds are you're not going to be able to buy it back at a lower price, and you're going to have to pay a ton of tax on it. And like many people said, I don't care. I have a lot to lose here, and I don't see how this thing improves quickly. Okay? That was middle of March. And then, a week later, the Federal Reserve comes out in Congress with massive proposals, unprecedented amount of money printing. And even though the economies were shut down, we had no vaccine, we weren't sure where things were going, all that uncertainty was still there. Demand hadn't picked back up yet. All it took was the Federal Reserve saying, we're going to expand our balance sheet by $4+ trillion. And the government saying, we're going to print via stimulus, trillions of dollars. And voila, the market turns around. And this investor, and we look back on it, and I'm like, hey, that was the risk. That's why we have these strategies set up this way. But listen, he was right and wrong at the exact same time. Had the government not stepped in, he would have been absolutely right. The market likely would have capitulated farther, and he would have been able to re-enter at a better spot. Instead, the Federal Reserve and politicians stepped in, placed a bottom in the market, and the stock market took off from there, and this individual bought back into stocks at a much higher price. So that's what's happening to all of us. Politicians, however, have been trading stocks massively. The Dallas Fed president, is it Robert Kaplan, and the Dallas president, Eric Rosengren, they've had so much controversy that they both have decided, same day, they announced they were going to be stepping down from their position as regional Fed bank presidents. Check this out. I'm assuming you've heard this. I believe it was Kaplan who got in the most controversy because he was trading individual stocks. I believe 27 of these individual stocks had positions of over $1 million each. I mean, he was actively trading positions in Alibaba and Apple and Microsoft, Amazon, these companies that the Fed was actually using taxpayer dollars or Fed resources, Fed assets to buy bonds in these companies. And so yet he was actively trading individual stocks, not just the S&P 500, actively trading individual stocks. He disclosed this because that's the law. He disclosed it. So did Eric Rosengren, and they faced tons of heat. How you're the ones making the laws? You're the ones in those those behind closed doors discussions about, well, what sort of activity should we do? Should we be raising rates? Should we be supporting the economy even more? You're the one that's aware of those, and you then likely have some sort of assumption as to, well, how's the market going to respond to this? And actively trading that much in positions it is alarming. It's alarming. So those two have said we haven't done anything wrong, but listen, the attention that we're getting is not good for the amount of aid the Fed's trying to do and the agenda that the Fed's trying to support, so we're going to step down. It's not just that, though. Nancy Pelosi, lots of other politicians have had a lot of scrutiny as well over their own positions and their disclosures that they're making about how they're trading or how their spouses are trading. That's what Nancy Pelosi's argument's been, is, hey, it's not me, it's my husband. He's the one that's doing all of this. So much so, guys, that a new posture has been developed out there, and that's, hey, if we can't beat them, join them. Check this out here. There's some folks on TikTok, but also individuals that have created different databases that reveal how, I'm going to say, congressional insiders, right? That is the right term. An insider is someone that works at a business that has access to private information and therefore trades that stock based on that information. That's a no-no. That's insider trading, okay? Martha Stewart went to jail over this, right? Or got punished. So big no-no. Well, this is political insider trading. These are individuals making the laws, casting the votes, making the proposals, working with lobbyists, right? Which is legal bribery, okay, if we're going to call it what it is. And yet they are making trades, and I'm sure they're not making trades blind to these things that they're seeing. It's got to be in complete concert with that. And so a couple databases have been created that reveal all of the trades that these politicians are making so that you can trade like the pros do. And I'm not talking about the Wall Street Titans. I'm talking about the people that make the laws. So check these out. I wouldn't recommend it. To me, I think there's got to be some sort of regulation. And for those of you that are Wise Money fans, I'm anti-regulation. I'm small government. I feel that the Fed and even Congress might possibly have done too much here to set a precedence, but yet my guess is this has got to be reined in. Now, Elizabeth Warren has been probably the loudest proponent of these laws that, listen, if you're in public service, if you're a politician, if you work at the Fed, you should only be able to invest passively. You should not be able to hold and trade individual stocks. You shouldn't. And I completely agree with her. There's not as much that I agree with her on, but when she first proposed that a couple of years ago, I thought, yeah, I've got friends who work at large accounting firms, and these large accounting firms, they are not allowed, no employee at these large accounting firms are allowed to invest in the individual stock or even have a mutual fund position that has a large enough position in the individual stock of a publicly traded company that is a client of this accounting firm. Why? Is it because this insider information is just flooded to all thousands of these employees? No, it just gives the optics that, well, you could have done some digging, found something, and traded off of it. So we're going to remove all the conflict. You're not allowed to do it. If that's what takes place in the free market, why wouldn't the same standard be held for those that actually make the stinking laws? What's your opinion? Do we impose some laws to limit or restrict these politicians and lawmakers to investing only passively, and maybe even have some restrictions on how often they can trade? Or do you say, listen, can't beat them, let's join them. Jump on this TikTok deal and start investing like they do. I personally would ignore all of this. I mean, it's interesting. And I would focus on your investment strategy that's consistent for your financial plan, okay? So that's what I would do. And I like that diversification, having a diversified approach along with a momentum approach that complement each other well. And they all should be fitting and connected to your financial goals, your financial plan. So work with your CFP on that. I don't think we've heard the last of this. I do personally think laws will be enacted. There'll be lots of pain involved. It's interesting, lawmakers making laws against themselves to restrict them. Oh, they don't like it. They'll make some laws to restrict us, but I don't know how popular it will be for them to make laws to restrict themselves, but I think that's where we have to go personally. So work with your CFP, make sure that you've got the right investment mix for your situation. You don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team, find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there too. Send us an email, info@korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.